This is the Beretta Bobcat 21A versus the Ruger LCP Max, a comparison. Let's hit the range. Let's give another shout out to our friends at Daryl's Gun Shop. Thanks for letting us use your range as always. The Beretta Bobcat 21A is a single-action, double-action, hammer-fired pocket pistol. Now you can get this pistol in either 22 long rifle or 25 ACP. The version we're shooting here today is the 22 long rifle version. The Bobcat weighs in at a lean 11.5 ounces. It's 4.9 inches in length, 1.1 inches in width, 3.7 inches in height, and features a 2.4 inch barrel. Now the barrel and slide are steel and are forged. The frame is a forged aluminum frame. The pistol does come with a safety. The safety can be engaged when the hammer is both cocked or not cocked, and it will prevent you from racking the slide when the safety is on if the hammer is down as well. The mag release button is in what I'd call a non-traditional position in the bottom of the left grip, though in a gun this small you're sort of limited on real estate, so I don't really consider that a negative. When shooting double action, the trigger pull is very long, which I think is to be expected for a pocket gun. Off my gauge, the double action trigger weighs in between 7.5 and a little over 8 pounds, and I think it's actually a very shootable double action trigger. Compared to many of the other ones I shoot, this one I can actually consistently keep on target, which I always like when I can do that on a gun, so thumbs up for that for this one for me. When shooting single action, the trigger pull off my gauge weighs in around 4 pounds, just about right on the dot. Pretty consistent, which again is not a spectacular single action trigger, but again I find it to be a very shootable single action trigger on this gun. It's just solid. It's not the greatest, but it's, I would say a bit above average actually. It's pretty good. Now the Bobcat does have what to me is an unusual feature. I don't know of another gun that has it, though I don't know that it's exclusive to this gun, is this pop-up barrel. When I first got this gun, I wasn't too wild about this. I mean, I probably didn't use it right back then, but after the years, it's actually grown on me, and I think this is actually a really neat idea, and I kind of wish it was on other guns, to be honest. I think this pop-up fixed barrel actually makes this gun pretty accurate for its size. And the other thing I really like about that pop-up barrel is you can actually load and fire this gun without having to manipulate the slide because of that. You just put your magazine in, pop the barrel up, put it around in the barrel, close the barrel, you're ready to go. And the other thing that I think is even cooler that allows you to do is then when you unload this gun, you drop the magazine, you open the barrel, you drop that round out, and you can see the barrel is empty to confirm the gun is empty without having to articulate the slide. And I think for even, say, a novice gun owner, that can be a very powerful and beneficial thing to have. Safety is a very, very powerful thing to always have. Now, another thing I want to comment on while we're in the area of this trigger is I think this gun could be a little narrower in the grip profile, though I'm actually a little fan of its current thickness. I think it could be thinner, though what stops it from really being thinner is, I believe this is called the trigger bar, and it's exposed on the outside of the frame here, and you'll notice the grip frame on the right side actually covers up half of it and sort of protects its operation. Now here's another angle at it. And I'm not an expert on this gun, though I theorize that's why the grips are the width they are on this gun, because of that external trigger mechanism that's exposed there otherwise. And one area I am going to knock this gun is in the sights. It has very low profile sights. I mean, probably the slimmest, smallest sights on a gun that I've shot, on par or even maybe even smaller than the original LCP I have. And if you have watched this channel and you know me, you know I'm a fan of a nice set of sights on a gun. Now this is a pocket gun, so I wouldn't expect full-size awesome sights on it, but with how small these sights are, I really would have at least preferred the option to change them if I wanted to. Again, just my preference. Some people might like them. I would have sacrificed a tiny bit of concealability for better sights. Again, that's just my book. Now, before we move on to the LCP Max, let's not forget this gun does come with a single stack magazine. It'd be a 7-round magazine. I don't believe the newer versions of it come with an additional magazine, but I could be wrong there. The one I got many years ago, this came with one 7-round magazine, so 7 plus 1. So, I mean, there it is. Now let's hit the range for some LCP Max footage. The Ruger LCP Max is an internal hammer-fired, single-action-only pocket pistol chambered in .380 ACP. It weighs in at a lean 10.6 ounces, has a length of 5.17 inches, a height of 4.12 inches, a width of 0.924 inches, and features a barrel of 2.8 inches. Now the barrel and slide are both alloy steel, while the frame is a glass pack nylon. Now the trigger is what Ruger calls their secure action trigger. Off my trigger gauge, that's a 5-pound single action only trigger. Just okay in my book. Unlike the original LCP, the LCP Max does do slide lock on empty, and it does have a low profile slide release controls. And as I mentioned in all the videos on this gun, I'm a big fan of the sights on it. It has the anti-glare rear sight with a tritium front night sight that is a high visibility sight as well. It's easy to pick up, easy to see both in daylight and night, and well, it just is a good sight in my opinion. Now the gun comes with one 10-round magazine, though you can also get 12-round magazines from Ruger. On this one I don't have the extension installed, as you can see. How about a little more range time? Red circle for Ruger, blue circle for Beretta. Ignore the rest of the holes. That's from when I was doing one-handed practice with the Hellcat, working on that 1,000 round review, getting up to that count, so to speak. So there's the results of that. One magazine from each gun, rapid fire at 28 yards. So that silhouette was at 28 yards for that last video. If we want to make it sound good, you could say I had a 60% hit rate on the silhouette with the LCP Max at 28 yards and a 75% hit rate on the silhouette with the Bobcat at 28 yards. If you want to make it not so good, you look at the target and you go, that's not really a group, it looks like you just shot it with a shotgun a couple times. And I would say on both of those you're right. 28 yards is probably beyond the intended range for both these guns, if I'm being honest with myself and how I would use them. For me personally, I would probably say they would be 10 yards an end gun, and probably more like 7 yards an end gun, which is why I mostly shoot guns this size at 7 yards in these videos, if I'm being honest. Now inside 10 yards, I do think with both guns, I can put all my shots on a target to be what I consider for myself comfortable. Does that mean I'm going to shoot the dots off the dice at 10 yards? No. If I'm being realistic, not at all. Does that mean I'm going to put them all in the size of a cantaloupe in size 10 yards, which is what I consider effective for a gun that size? Yes, that's what I'm looking for. Again, that's just my not an expert opinion on the matter. Now, I think the concealability on these guns, comparing them, is probably a wash. Now, technically, the Beretta does have a slightly wider grip, which I prefer, However, it's a little shorter in the barrel and the overall length. Height, that's probably about, slightly shorter. So it's, where there's trade-offs on either one that I think make them equally concealable. But for some people, one will be, and for others, another will be. So it's kind of a wash in my book in that regard. Now, I think the Beretta has a better trigger. Some people are going to obviously gravitate the other way, but I think just for my personal style, the Beretta has a better trigger. And when I combine that with the basically non-existent recoil of this gun, because it's an ounce, I think about an ounce heavier even than the Ruger is, with shooting 22 versus 380, that extra mass gives this gun no recoil. So if you can get that little tiny blade where you want it to be, you can actually shoot pretty good with it. I mean, I can hit targets pretty far out. You might have noticed in that one I had one that was about, 2 inches left of the bullseye. That's probably my first double action shot with this gun before going rapid fire. So even going out that far, you can do good shots with it, and I think it's that fixed barrel and a good trigger that does that. Now, there is one huge negative, at least in my book, on this Bobcat, and that it is extremely ammo sensitive. At least mine is, to the point where I am of the opinion, if this is the gun you like, you find the specific ammo it likes and you make sure you stock up and always have that. Because, at least for mine, there's no guarantee I can find ammo it likes, and mine does not like much of anything, really. When it works, it works. When it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And it would be so irreliable that I could not carry this gun unless I was extremely confident in the ammo I had was the ammo it really liked. And for me, that's tough, especially with the current nature of ammo. Now, by contrast, in my experience, the Ruger has not been ammo sensitive. The ammo that I've had, other than, say, a one-off reload of mine that didn't work, the ammo I've had that didn't work in this gun didn't work in other guns when I tested it in other guns. So I don't think it's specific to this gun. So I don't think this gun is at all ammo sensitive. I think I've had, counting the one magazine through the box of ammo it didn't like, or that ammo sucked, and the one reload I didn't like. That's the only failures I've had on this gun. And we're, after we post this video, we're going to be doing our 500 round review on this gun. So that'll give you an idea on what I think the reliability on this gun is so far. For features, that LCP Max does have things like the night sights that I very much like, that are in its favor. The trigger, I'm not a fan of that Ruger secure action trigger. It's never grown on me, but it works well enough. The gun is accurate enough. It has a nice capacity. It's, I wouldn't say mild on the recoil, but it's not punishing on the recoil. You can shoot it one-handed well enough. Overall, I think the LCP Max continues to be a good gun for me. Now, I did get that gun the week that it released, and I did get a magazine that came with it that did not successfully engage the hold open on empty for everybody like it should. For me, I didn't have that problem, but that's because I would apply upward pressure due to my grip on the mag, negating the issue, but not everyone does, so it is what it is. Now, another thing I will acknowledge, and it's pretty obvious in some of the camera shots with the flash in this video, is you'll probably notice the very, very beginnings of a hint of rust in places on this slide. And I just shot this gun before taking these pictures, but when I give it the old elbow grease wipe down, it looks pretty nice. But after it, it sat in the holster for a week, and then I shoot it a couple times and whatnot, it's more noticeable in the flash. And yes, it is disappointing, even on what some people will call a budget gun. If this is the best you can afford, you're going to be disappointed if your gun rusts after a week sitting in just your pocket holster, sitting in a drawer, not even sitting somewhere sweaty, giggity. So yes, Ruger will fix it. They have a reputation of good customer service, and when the day comes that eventually bothers me enough, I'll send it in and I'll probably have it back in a week or 6 weeks or whatever it is, and maybe they'll throw a cleaning cloth or something in. So yes, you know, I will acknowledge that is an issue that even I am experiencing. And does it bother me? Slightly. Does it bother me enough to hate on the gun? No. But I will say yes, it is out there. So if you made it this far, you're probably wondering which is better. And before I answer that, I'm going to thank you for hanging in this long. I really appreciate you watching the video. Now I'm going to answer the question of which is better like I always do, and say that's largely subjective. If you prefer very mild recoil with a decent trigger and you have the ammo this gun likes, the Bobcat can be a very good choice in my opinion. And you know, I'm one of those who's not enamored by capacity. If I can put 7 or 8 shots in a center mass at 28 yards, if you're still coming, I got bigger problems on my hand, is the way I look at it. Now with the LCP Max, it's pretty similar in that regard, in that, you know, it has a very good capacity at 10+1, and while I wish I shot it a little better, I still shoot it well enough where if I can put 10 shots in you at 10 yards, if you're still coming, I got bigger problems on my hand. And so, you know, I think both guns are very good. LCP Max has a huge reliability edge in my book. The Beretta is going to have, I think, a better recoil and a better trigger. And if you have the ammo that it likes, it can be reliable. Though, you know, again, those are my thoughts on the matter. I am not an expert. That's just merely my experience. Now, as always, I appreciate you watching. Thanks for getting this far. And as always, have a good day.